Welcome to the Cyborg Vlog. Well, today I'm on my way to a drive-thru test for COVID-19 about 40 miles from my house. To give a little background, I've been at work for the past month with taking all the precautions that we thought were necessary at the time. We've done the hand washing, the sanitization, the social distancing at work. We've implemented a split shift to where half people work days, half people work swings. And our company's even allowed people at high risk, if they felt like they needed to take 2 weeks off. Now, of course, this has been over a month, so people that chose to use that time were allowed to do it, and then that time expired and they've come back to work. Well, in my state and in our county, the cases were relatively low for much of March, and we just started getting confirmed cases around the 1st of April. So people started taking things more seriously, and just recently, within the last few weeks, they recommended that we wear face masks whenever we couldn't be more than 6 feet apart. Now, the problem we ran into with that is there weren't any masks available. So I did try to hot glue something together just for going to work when I'm around other people. But luckily, one of my coworkers graciously made probably somewhere between over 100 masks and handed them out at work, and also made extra for us to take home to our families, which I thought was extremely nice. She's really a giving person, and we appreciate that. So we think we're doing everything we can. We're not holding in-person meetings at work. We're trying to stay away. But just due to the nature of the work we do, there's people in and out of our work areas a lot. We were a little concerned. We've been doing sanitization. We've been washing hands, sanitizing hands, doing it so much that my knuckles are dried out and cracking. So we thought we were taking pretty good precautions. There's been a few scares with people at work. We know there's cases nearby. We didn't hear about any in our building. And the only place I've been going is to work in Walmart. Maybe the occasional drive-thru. But we're trying to do everything we can to stay safe. And I thought we were doing good until in the middle of the night, Thursday the 17th, or maybe early in the morning on Friday. And I woke up from a dream, and I was gasping for breath. And that was unusual. I'd never had a dream like that before. And then when I woke up, I was laying on my side, and I realized I really was gasping for breath. I was having some breathing issues. And I thought, this is odd. I've never had this happen before. But when I sat up, the shortness of breath it seemed to go away a little bit. It got better. I wasn't gasping for air. So I made the decision just to move to a recliner, and I tried to sleep upright most of the rest of the night, and I had a light blanket on. And after about an hour of that, I started getting the sensation of having a fever. Usually I can feel it in my body. I don't feel hot. I can just feel the overall body aches and discomfort come on before I take my temperature and realize I have a fever. So after that, I did take my temperature. It was 101.2, which on the ear thermometer I usually register about 97. So I knew it was a fever. I could feel it was a fever. I took some ibuprofen. I continued to try to sleep sitting up the rest of the night, and I noticed my pulse was very high. So we also have one of those fingertip pulse oxygen meters, and it read 88, which concerned me because I thought anything below 90 or the low 90s was bad. And at that point, I woke my wife up, told her what was going on. Because I'd never experienced that shortness of breath before, and I know that's one of the COVID-19 symptoms, it really concerned me and her. And since I had the fever as well, I met my company's guidelines for not showing up for work, for staying home sick, especially during the pandemic. So I called into work. I had my wife gather all her stuff out of the bedroom, wash her pillowcases, and anything that was in the room with me we sanitized and she took out. I was wearing my mask around her during the transition time, and I started self-isolating in our master bedroom. I did make a telemedicine phone call to my primary care physician, not my cardiologist, and she said, while I do have multiple symptoms that could be associated with COVID-19, I did not yet meet any criteria for being tested. She told me, I was concerned about the family. She said, just self-isolate, that's all you can do. And I talked to her about my blood oxygen percentage, and she said 88, isn't abnormal if you're sleeping, especially if you have undiagnosed sleep apnea. She said a better test would be if I could get through full sentences while I was talking without stopping and gasping for air. She said that was kind of the cutoff point where if I get that bad, I need to go to the emergency room. So there's nothing really we could do except I could take Tylenol and alternate with ibuprofen for fever and body aches. And if I needed to for cough, I could take Robitussin DM, which we don't have, of course, but it's a different story. Cough hasn't been too bad for me. So really there was nothing she said we could do. She said I didn't qualify for testing because I wasn't exposed directly to anybody with a confirmed case, and my symptoms weren't bad enough for me to be hospitalized. So she didn't recommend, or she wouldn't allow me to take a test or come into the office with the mild symptoms I had, and if my symptoms got worse, she wanted me to go to the emergency room. That was her advice. So I go most of the day Friday thinking about that, and Friday night I notice my symptoms they're feeling a little bit worse. I have a cough coming on now, and I'm growing a little bit more concerned. I know my family's already been exposed because we were together the day before the symptoms showed up. I mean, my wife was laying next to me the night they showed up. So I knew they were exposed, but we knew isolating them would prevent them from getting any more viral load from me, and we continued to do that. And people at work, I let people at work know, or my supervisor, my boss, program manager, they all were emailing me, checking on me, and my program manager's wife is a nurse and mentioned a doctor in town that would give non-patients the COVID-19 test, and she also recommended another healthcare company in a different city that was doing the testing. But my wife actually found that Walgreens in select communities is doing free COVID-19 testing for patients that met the screening criteria. So I went onto the Walgreens site, and they ask you a few questions. They ask your personal information, a few questions. And the first time I went through the questionnaire, it asked, how severe, how many symptoms you have. I put in what I was feeling, and it said, we don't recommend you for a test. Go see, your symptoms are so severe, you need to go to the primary care physician. Well, I'm thinking to myself, I already tried going to the primary care physician, and she refused the test for me. So I fill out the questionnaire again, and I put just my most prominent symptoms in. And this time it says, okay, you do qualify for the test. I guess before it thought I was too sick to wait for a test and that I should just go to the doctor. After giving the second, going through the second time, it said, okay, you do qualify for a test, and it had me make an appointment time, which was a day later, over 24 hours later, and it said, now while your spot's confirmed at the specific Walgreens about 40 miles from my house, that until a test was available, I wouldn't get a confirmation email. And this is going to be a swab test, a self-administered swab test is what they said. And I was waiting, and I did finally get the confirmation email, printed it out. So this morning I got ready, put my mask on, had my wife grab the printout from the printer and leave it on the way out the door. I stopped by the front door through the glass window and said bye to my family. And now I'm on the road up to this testing site. So given the fever, the shortness of breath, the slight cough that I've started to develop over the last few days, body aches, it really made me concerned that I do have COVID-19. And I want to get a test, not only to let my family know, but also to report back to my coworkers, because they may have to implement some kind of quarantine procedures for people that work the most close with me, and I think it's important that I send that information to them. So I'm on my way to that right now. I'm wondering if any of you out there watching have experienced any problems getting testing, if you've had your primary care physician tell you don't qualify, whether you had to go to outside means to try to get a test for yourself when you're sick. So if you want to comment and let me know your experience, that'd be great. Well, I'm here at Walgreens. They've set up a COVID-19 only drive-thru entrance, and we'll see what I have to do. There's a few cars ahead of me, so I'll put the video down towards me, so hopefully we can see what the test procedure they're going to have me do. They're going to have me self-administer. I just showed them my confirmation email. They wanted to make sure everybody that's in line actually needs it. Right now there's a car with the pharmacist gathering, well, it may not be the pharmacist, but somebody with PPE on is taking additional information from people. And then after, I'm not sure how many other cars are ahead of me around the corner, but there's at least 3 ahead of me right now. Okay, so I've just pulled up to the check-in area. They want you to keep the windows up. I've been in line for about 10 minutes, which wasn't too bad. They asked me to show up 5 minutes before my appointment. I could have showed up a full 15 minutes early and still been on time, and I'm betting that's going to get worse as it gets later on in the day. So they have signs here. They just gave me the thumbs up that I checked in. They have a test for me. So just in front of the check-in area, they have the pharmacist, I believe the website said. And they actually have remarkably few PPE protections on. They have a mask and gloves. I've seen other videos of drive-thru testing where they have face shields and gowns, but they're doing things a little bit differently here. This is a self-administered test. So what they do is they're rolling up a cart that has the swab in it, and they're standing about 10 feet away, having you roll down your window, and they give you instructions on how to do the swab yourself. So I think this is why they can get away with not having as much PPE. And when they're done and you put the swab into the cart, they roll the cart back and they prepare the next one for me, I think. So I'm gonna go ahead and just roll down the window and do what they say. Okay.
Once we're finished with the instructions, she'll bring the cart over to you, and you can take the swab out of the blue bin. We just ask that you leave the blue tote on the cart.
Okay.
She's going to open it a little bit so you can tell where the opening is, but you can open it a little bit more. Just don't go past halfway.
Okay.
So take the swab out, put it into one nostril about an inch, and then rotate inside the nostril. You want to come in contact with the insides of the nostril on all sides. Take your time.
Okay.
Do 5 rotations. Take it out. Same thing on the other side. 5 rotations. And then it goes back into the sleeve with the cotton tip down, and then back into the toe.
Okay.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the instructions are there if you need to refer to them. But if you're all set, we'll have you close your window and we'll bring the car.
Okay. So just one nostril or both?
Yeah, you do 5 times in each nostril.
Okay.
So if you could just close your window while you do it.
Okay.
Alright, so the lab will be in contact you with your results within 24 to 36 hours. We do just ask that if you are having symptoms, just to quarantine until you get your results. Do you have any questions for me?
No.
Alright, so once she gets the cart back here, you're free to go.
Okay, thanks. So they rolled the cart up. You saw me swab 5 times in each nostril. They did have instructions up, but the problem was the placement of the instructions were right where I couldn't see them because of my mirror and A-pillar there for the car were placed. She asked me to put the swab 5 inches, or excuse me, yeah, 1 inch up the nostril, rotate 5 times, and do it on the other nostril. And as you saw, I was just wanting to make sure I did it correctly, because they go through the instructions kind of fast there. But I don't know if you could hear her giving me the instructions, but after I was done, they said it would be 24 to 36 hours before I had results. I'm pretty sure they told me, or the website said 24 hours, so we'll see how that goes. So that was my experience at the drive-thru COVID-19 testing. I'm gonna go straight back home and go back into self-quarantine in the bedroom, and I'll post some updates as I hear any new information from them, or if I have any different symptoms that I think I should share with you guys.